Welcome to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is going to be episode 13.5. My name is Zach. I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, what's up?
And my best friend, Jake.
What was I doing?
Yeah, it's actually not nighttime. It's kind of early evening for us. And
We're pushing it.
It's 6:07, Jake.
yeah, we just recorded with the mercenary, Devin Walker, the mastermind, if you will.
So me and Zach are sharing a mic, and he keeps wanting me to get really close to his face.
Because they're not going to hear you otherwise. And so we have to share a mic just the way that we record online. So
While I get my own.
They may not hear me, but they'll feel me.
they might. We'll see.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had Devin on. Great to talk with.
We were super stoked to have him on.
He's someone we wanted to have on for a while, and we've actually had in the works for
Several weeks.
Yeah, several weeks, and we
wanted to time it well.
We wanted to have him on when he was able to talk about this current season, and you know the way things were with the last mercenaries that came in with Hunter and Ashley. They just did a cliffhanger, and then they didn't actually get to do the elimination until the next week. So we wanted to double check and make sure that we actually got to see their elimination. We had no idea it was going to be a double elimination,
Which made it way more fun.
yeah, so we knew we had a lot to talk about with him. You know, we just went over just some quick things like his background on Are You the One, how he got casted, things like that, and he got to talk about some of this season. But you're going to obviously listen to that before we get into it. Again, if you're new here, if you are someone who's not listened to us in the past, we do weekly episode recaps every Tuesday night after the new episodes air. And if you want, follow us on Twitter at Smashing Heads, on Instagram at Smashing Heads Podcast, same on Facebook, and you can email us smashingheadspodcast@gmail.com. And we put those up every Tuesday, and we do these interviews kind of as they come. We try to time them well with the current season. So it was really great talking with Devin.
We're super big fans ever since his debut on the challenge a few seasons ago.
Yeah, he was definitely one we've been wanting to have for a while. And shout out to Marie for
hooking us up.
Being the plug, as she calls herself, because she definitely has gotten us in touch with a few people. So, again, I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. It's pretty lighthearted, pretty easy listening. So,
yeah. Without further ado,
let's get into it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Hey, everyone. We are joined by the one and only, the mastermind, Devin Walker. How are you doing?
How we doing, guys? Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. It worked out that, you know, we knew you were coming on this week on your premiere for this season, but didn't expect it to be a double elimination like it was.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that way either. But we had a feeling that they weren't going to just hand it to us, considering our timing walking into the game, and the fact there's $1 million on the line. So we knew we were going to have to earn it, and that's kind of exactly what we did.
Yeah, how early on did you know it was going to be Corey that you were partnered with?
So I knew that it was between a couple people. Well, at least the internet rumor mill had narrowed it down for me a little bit. So I knew that me and Corey were going to be teaming up probably about a week before we set out.
Okay. Yeah, we heard initially that the rumor was the reason why Bananas was left in, his coffin alone was because you were supposed to be there, and then you had, a family emergency, which obviously that's more important. But is that what happened? Were you supposed to be in there with Bananas?
That is exactly what happened. And I don't want to give too many spoilers because
we're spoiler free on our show.
This next episode that's coming up is going to explain that entire story. But I was in South Africa with the original cast, and I was there for 24 hours, and then something came up, so had to head back home, and I was just thankful to be able to get another shot at it. If I could pick between having Corey or Bananas as a partner, I'd pick Corey every time. So
I
dodged a bullet, a little bit in that sense. But yeah, that's this episode coming up is going to explain exactly what happened, and why it is that I decided to come back. All those questions get answered this Tuesday.
So I actually had to remember why you and Corey would be vendettas or rivals of some sort. And then you made it to a final on your first challenge. Of course, you made it up to that last purge in vendettas. And, of course, now you're here in Final Reckoning. I had forgot that he had sent you home on that first purge in Dirty 30.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Yep. Well, I mean, he didn't really send me home. He just chose not to save me.
And you were very upfront with, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I sent me home in that season because I can get my fat up a hill. So there was an early exit there. But, yeah, I mean, really, me and Corey had like a really intoxicated dispute in an alleyway in Mexico. That's really why he didn't save me, saved Tony instead. And then, we're considered to be vendettas or whatever it is. So that's on Rivals 3. You can see that. It almost comes to blows between us a couple times on that season. But I really like Corey now. And, as half of Team Princess,
yeah,
we're not going to be like not around each other for the next X amount of years. So,
we were actually going to bring that up. We had a lot of people say, well, have you considered that you've legitimately been teammates with both of the parents of Ryder at this point?
I've actually gone as far
Are you the uncle? Yeah.
As to expect to be paired with Ryder evenchallengers.
So you're going to be doing these for at least another 15 years or so.
I don't know, either that or it's going to be like challengers and toddlers as a team.
I'd love to see that.
Tony would roll up with one of his little girls,
and then you got CT's kid.
Yeah, CT and his kid. I mean, I guess Corey would have to be with Ryder in that circumstance.
No, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, either way,
that'd be way better.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the first people to know that Corey was the dad.
Really?
I remember when that story broke, and because she had already had the baby at that point, and it was later on that it came out, and we were all like, "What? How'd that happen?" And then, we knew how it happened, but it was kind of weird that's what it turned out to be. So, how did you find out?
Cheyenne just sent me a photo of the baby, and I was like, well, I guess that kind of narrows it down. So, I didn't really know for sure, but I had a pretty good inkling that Corey was the father. I mean, the gorgeous baby. She looks just like Shy. She looks very much like Corey as well. And I'm stoked for them. So I was really happy to know that I was teaming up with Corey and to know that he had something to play for outside of himself. So that always gives somebody a little extra sauce.
Are you going to appear on Teen Mom as the uncle that comes in?
So I don't think that I'm going to be making a Teen Mom appearance anytime soon. Hopefully, knock on wood. I would love to. I would love to if the invitation was there, but I don't know if that's how that works.
So that's not a career move you're looking to make.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
So,
but I'm stoked for them, and I actually watched the first episode.
We haven't watched it, but we know it's been received really well. Everyone's
it's awesome.
Talking, yeah,
it's really awesome, and getting to see a different kind of side to both Cheyenne and Corey. So that's my Teen Mom OG plug. Y'all should watch it if you're listening.
I've only heard good things, and even from people who don't watch the show normally, they're like, it's worth watching just for them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, they're obviously both good TV. Ryder's adorable. So,
and this is like Corey's 9th show at this point.
Yeah,
the kid has been getting around.
So speaking of that, I read a rumor that before you went on Are You the One, that you almost were on The Bachelorette. Is that true at all?
I was given kind of 3 options on shows to audition for, and The Bachelorette was on that list of options.
What was the third one?
I think it was Dating Naked or Naked Dating or something. It's one of the two. It's by the same production company as Are You the One, but my kind of decision was made very easily because in the Bachelorette, there's only one lady.
Yeah.
And so definitely not trying to do that. Dating naked, you can't win any money. And Are You the One is essentially just a 5-week party with a bunch of hot people, and you win 50 G's.
It's only 5 weeks? I didn't realize it was that short.
I mean, that could have changed, but...
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, we're not, like, we haven't watched Are You the One? Like, we never have. So, like, our introduction to you and, you know, even Nelson and Corey and all those guys was on the challenge. Like, so...
I highly recommend going back to Are You the One Season 3 and at least doing, like, a...
There's a lot of challengers came out of that one.
Yeah, a fast-forward watch. Like, half of it is kind of rough, but there's definitely some good moments. And the character development of, like, me, Amanda, Nelson, Hunter, Brittany, even Chuck, you know, coming onto this season, that you really get to see kind of what we were dealing with early on.
So that was going to be one of my questions is, so I've got you, I was doing a little bit of research and looked at the challenge wiki, your information, and it's basically got here that you kind of rubbed everybody the wrong way on Are You the One? Of course, we've watched you on the challenge, and we think you're awesome, and so...
Yeah, I'll say you single-handedly, like, turned me to be, like, fans of the Are You the One people, because I did not like you guys coming in as a new crop.
I appreciate that.
So,
now, like, fast forward, no one even cares what show, or excuse me, no one even cares what show you were on to begin with.
Yeah,
we
I'm
have
not
like
a fan of that.
nine different shows now. So I, for a little while, was like, yeah, we got to earn our stripes, blah, blah, blah. No, wrong. Like, we're getting people from all over the place. So I don't want to hear any Are You the One-ish anymore from the viewers. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere.
So
get over it.
So what exactly is it that sets Challenge Devin apart from Are You the One Devin?
Okay, so I am night or day, doesn't matter what temperature it is or where I am geographically, unapologetically Devin. The only difference in the way that I acted on Are You the One versus the way that I am acting on the challenge is the viewers. So people that watch the challenge, like you guys, are used to a different type of person.
Yeah.
People that were watching Are You the One were 14-year-old girls. So, like, yeah, they don't like me very much because I guess I'm mean.
That's not your demographic.
Yeah, that's not really my demographic. So it's like I didn't really care. Not that I would care if people that watch the challenge don't like me either, but I especially didn't care about, like, being the villain on Are You the One because I like that. Just if a bunch of 8th graders don't like me, I'm good. And most of the people I were making fun of on that show are idiots. So, like,
and half of them are on the challenge now.
Yeah, well, I didn't get in too many tiffs with those people because they had a little bit of sauce. It was like half the cast had an IQ of 85, and I'm just sitting there like, you know, how am I supposed to deal with this? I'm from a relatively, like, intellectual friend group. We can at least, like, string thoughts together. And then I got into that house, and I was like, all right, I'm going to have to really be patient here.
Yeah, and that was your first show, so I mean, you're experiencing all that for like the first time, as far as like cameras around you all the time, filming everything you do and talk about, and so that's got to be a big adjustment.
For the record, I'd also just like to put in here because I like to do this any chance that I get.
Okay.
Although my season wasn't particularly smart, no one has ever been dumber than Are You the One Season 5. And I will say that forever.
Who challenge-wise came out of that?
Cam, who's awesome, obviously.
Yeah, we interviewed Cam. Great. She was great. So that'd be Alicia and some of them.
Alicia, yep, and Derek. Yep, and there's a few others, but season 5 is officially the dumbest group of individuals that has
All you
ever
had to say was
lived in
Derek.
a house together.
Yeah, so we've been pretty hard on Derek. Like we're fans of the show, and we talk pretty candidly about how we feel about everyone. At the same time, we try to be respectful because these people are on TV. At the same time, going back to Derek, we just are like, man, this guy looks the part, but he cannot get it together.
Yeah, I really like Derek.
He seems really nice. Yeah.
He's a good guy, but I don't know. I don't think the challenge is his game.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got, CT now, who's like 40 pounds overweight, and he's still doing great at stuff just because he understands how the games work. I mean, it's not always just being in the most physical shape.
Yeah, CT also, though, like, underneath a little bit of extra weight is still a freak athlete.
Yeah. He's just genetically.
Don't get that twisted. He will still, like, CT right now would still give CT 6 years ago a legitimate run for his money, if not beat him at most stuff. Like, he is still a freak athlete.
Oh, yeah. I don't want you to get it wrong. We're big fans of CT. Our show's named after CT when he fought Adam. And
Interesting.
And so...
smash his head and eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that means, were you a fan of the show, like, before you were on it? Like, did you watch it? Because some people just come on, they're like, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I'd never seen, like, a full season. I didn't, like, watch the show regularly. But I had seen a couple... episodes, like, rogue episodes of The Real World and of The Challenge. So I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't really know... I didn't know how far down the rabbit hole I would go with it, but now I'm on a podcast talking about that, so
that's true.
Yeah, I knew what it was, but you also, like, it's impossible to prepare for until you've done like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
I believe that.
I mean, it's a surreal environment. Like, you're not in a normal world anymore at that point. Like,
no, normal is not a word that I would use to describe a challenge house.
That's why I don't, for the most part, take anything that someone does. Like, say someone gets really upset and says something offhand that's perceived one way or the other. They're in an environment or you guys are in an environment, we're talking to you, it's made to push people's boundaries and see, like, hey, here's alcohol, and here's a bunch of people who don't like you, and you're going to be in this little space together where there's no entertainment of any sorts. And, I mean, it's made to push people to their limits to some degree.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way that the show is designed, and it's gotten, unfortunately, more and more strict due to, like, legal restrictions. So where they used to have off days, like, no cameras, go out, do whatever you want, come back at 8 o'clock at night, and, like, have a deep decompress once a week. None of that happens anymore.
Yeah, we heard some stories about some of those old days like that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why we don't, get them. And I'm not saying, like, if you cut me, Wes, and Tony loose in Spain for an afternoon, that it would go really well. Like, I don't know for sure. We'd have a blast, but I don't know how that one ends up. Like, I get it, but it is... You got to keep that in mind, which sounds like you guys do. A lot of people don't do that, but there's certain things that the environment can excuse, and then there's certain things that it can't. Like, if you make, like, a racist or a homophobic comment, that's not the scenery that did that to you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Like, that's inside of you already, and then it took a really bad situation to bring that out. But, like, that, there's certain things you don't get to blame on the house.
Yeah, we interviewed Brandon Nelson to start off with a few months ago, who was, from the late 2010s or early 2010s. I mean, maybe 2009 or so is when he started. We talked to him because he had some history with Camilla, which I know you did a season or 2 with. And he had stories going back to back then. And so his whole thing was, it doesn't seem like it's just a one-time incident. It was more of, this has been a pattern that's just more on getting exposed. You don't have to talk about that if you don't want to. That's just what he told us. And so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't have really much to speak to about Camilla personally, because I didn't know her very well. I had never known her to make those kind of comments or whatever. And I wasn't there when it happened, so I've never seen a clip on it. I just know, like, he said, she said,
yep.
And I know how that goes in the challenge house. So I don't really know about that in particular, but I will say that there are things that get edited out sometimes that don't make it. Like, people slip up. You see people's true colors all the time. Yeah. Whether it's like we're hearing about some like piece of information that's happening in the real world and someone like lets a comment slide that you're like, wait a minute, that's who you really are. I see you now. That happens all the time, and that's just the show is kind of made to replicate the real world in a very bizarre way. I have a theory on the casting of the show, which is that it just kind of mirrors its demographic that watches it. So you're going to get all different walks of life that watch the show and that are on the show to represent those people watching.
Yeah.
And so you're going to, you put 30 people in a house and there's going to be some differences of opinion. I happen to think my opinion is usually right and moral, but some people would disagree with that too.
So that's the thing that, and I think most of the people that watch the show have kind of determined is that I think, and you've probably heard it, you've been deemed as not the most physically gifted, not the most athletic and everything, but you bring this understanding to the game and this mental aspect that...
It's a calmness.
Yeah. And so it rivals one of our favorites being Wes, and of course you seem real connected to Wes, and so has his relationship, the relationship you have with him, kind of rubbed off on you challenge-wise?
I'm actively trying to be less like Wes on the challenge, actually.
Huh. Okay.
I've seen what happened to him like backfire so intensely because, and me and Wes talk about this all the time. This is no disrespect to Wes. Wes is my dog.
Yeah.
He's like one of my best friends, awesome guy. But in being very successful and very articulate in like his manipulation, people now are so afraid to be the person that Wes makes a fool of next that even if he's offering them a really good deal, people don't take it.
Yeah, they're scared that he'll cross them over because, there's
not even that he'll cross them over, just that like they're literally scared. Like, this is a thing that I've heard multiple people say. I won't name drop, but
yeah, that's fine.
A lot of people say, I don't want to make a deal with Wes because no matter what the deal is, the audience is going to think that he's getting one over on me.
Yeah, he has built up the reputation of, I see like things further down the road than the people that I'm talking with, and
right.
It's worked very well in some seasons, and there's other ones that it's come back to bite him really hard, and I think that's kind of the nature of it. I always liked it, and again, it's part of the reason why I took a liking to you when you came in was like the mental like manipulation side of the game is very underrated to me. Like, everyone wants to be physical and like all that type of stuff, but
there's not enough competitors that have the mental capacity to be manipulative in that way. And so I think that's why we don't see much of it in the show. And
Absolutely.
Also why it's underrated.
Well, yeah, like going back to last season, like a very underrated moment to me was when you just kind of planted the seed to Nelson that Bananas and Kaylee had done something, and then you just watched it like spread throughout the house, and then
like
it became a big thing.
But you held on to it until it was time to pull the trigger on that.
Or at least that's how it was edited. You can verify.
Yeah, that was half right, but then at that point too, even though me and Nelson had done 2 or 3 shows together at that point, we were never like super close. He's always been a guy that I really like and I think is a good dude, and we, have had some parties together or whatever, but we've never been super close. And on that season, just like our beds were next to each other, we were playing the game the same way. We had like, a lot of goals in common. And so we had become pretty close. And so this was like half, okay, this is like a game move, and half, I feel really bad and I can't have Nelson walking around this house and not knowing this information. So it was half genuine, and then to be like, yo, get away from her, you're going to end up looking like a fool.
Yeah.
And half like, this is also going to really mess things up. So let me.
It was a win-win. Like you were
there.
looking out for him, but it also, made.
I mean, I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I let it happen, and then her bag ended up getting thrown off the balcony, which.
Yep.
I guess I didn't see that happening. But
I don't think anybody saw that one coming.
Yeah, no. Once those girls have a couple of spritzers, there is no telling what's going to go flying.
Yeah, so speaking of drinking a little bit and, no telling, one thing I want to get back to, we had someone reach out, and I completely forgot that you were in the Redemption House at this point on Dirty 30.
Oh, yeah.
What happened between Shane and, what was her name? The big fight. I have it written down.
Simone?
Simone, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, were there really not any cameras rolling, or did they just be like, oh...
No, seriously, there were no cameras rolling.
Okay.
There was a spot in the Redemption House that the camera that they weren't able to rig with cameras. And I don't know if the crew had like gone on break or like whatever, but for whatever reason, we were just up there chilling, and I don't feel to blame for that, but I definitely sparked the conversation that started it. Well, first of all, it was Martini Tuesday, which is I highly recommend everyone do in their own normal life because it's really fun and the challenge is on Tuesdays. So me and Amanda were having Teeny Tuesday, which is where we just drink martinis and talk for a long time until you're real drunk. And so we were doing that, and then I was like, we had started having like a real conversation actually about how the show is casted. One thing led to another, and then everyone else had joined the conversation, or at least like three or four other people had joined the conversation, and now we're all talking, and it got like really heated, and then it was just a full-on fist fight.
Okay, so it wasn't like a big conspiracy thing.
It was not a big conspiracy, bro. It was, I got bit.
By who?
By Shane?
Yeah.
Oh, I think, did they show that?
They showed the medical treatment.
Okay, yeah.
I don't blame him. Like, I put him in the sleeper hold to like break up the fight, and then he just reacted.
Is that your first time being bit?
On television.
Yeah, definitely on TV. Actually, probably not even.
Again, we didn't watch Are You the One? You might have got bit on there.
Yeah, there's definitely some biting going on in there.
So your first your introduction into the challenge was an interesting one. Of course, you're teamed up with Cheyenne, and you guys were actually put out the first elimination, right?
Oh yeah.
And then it was interesting because kid named Brandon missed his girlfriend and wanted to go home. So had you guys already been like on a plane yet, or were you in the process of leaving? Because you had come back to take his place. I
was fresh off like a 3-day bender. I had gotten home. I was home. I was back in Massachusetts.
So where was that filmed at? Which
that was in Mexico.
Okay, so it wasn't like South Africa.
No, that was in Huatuco, but it still took. It was like 9-10 hour flight.
Oh wow.
So we left Huatuco, went home, shy to LA, meet in Massachusetts, went on a freaking bender, being like, God, I suck, I lost. And then like 3 days later, my phone was just ringing and ringing and ringing. And I genuinely thought, because I had just gotten out of a relationship at the time, that it was my ex-girlfriend like calling to like be annoying. So I was like hitting half asleep, like hungover, hitting ignore a bunch of times. And then when I got up, it was a challenge being like, yo, we want you to come back. So get on the plane. And then, the rest is history.
Yeah, that Brandon guy, that's TJ's most hated person ever on the challenge.
I don't know. I think he really doesn't like that cat from Invasions that kept talking about being a D1 athlete, but then he wouldn't couldn't.
Oh, Theo.
Yeah, Theo's pretty whack. Like I know Brandon like personally, and he's a smart, like, good dude. Theo I guess I never met him, but he seemed like a real, like, idiot.
Yeah, they're both up there. I just know TJ did an interview not long ago, and he's like, whatever that guy's name was that missed his girlfriend, like, that's the one I don't ever want to come back.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, he didn't even remember his name, but yeah,
he said hope to see you never when he left.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's been weird, like, this season. You obviously came in at a strange point. We definitely want to get you to talk a little bit about what you can this season. Obviously, we're not going to get into spoilers.
Right.
So you guys come into the elimination. Were you around whenever the whole thing with Amanda and Zach started, or was that all, like, how does that work? Because they show you guys walking in. Do you guys know?
We were behind the curtain, yeah. So,
okay.
So me and Corey are behind this, thing, whatever it is, it's a little curtain thing, so no one can see us. They don't know we're there, but we can hear their voices.
Okay.
So we know that Zach and Amanda have the power of vote. And then they start arguing. And so we're thinking immediately, okay, we're going to get Bananas and Tony. We're going to get a shot at them to take them out right away. We're not even going to have to wait to get into the house to go against the team we want to go against. Because we thought that they were just going to have us pick someone.
Yeah, we kind of thought that too, because we knew you were coming in.
Yeah. We thought that if Amanda and Zach couldn't pick anyone, that they were going to bring us out and have us pick. And me and Corey literally looked at each other at the same time behind that curtain. We're like, Tony and Bananas. So we were going to pick them no matter what, just to, like, get it over with. Because at that point, we felt like we had fresh legs. Like, they'd been in that house for 4 weeks. They don't know we're coming, element of surprise. Like, everything just seemed like it was lined up and that was going to be the right move. So when they made them walk down, we were, like, a little bit shook. We were like, that's not the team we wanted to go against.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that they had to win to get into that position. So obviously they were doing well.
Yeah.
And they've got the brains brawn thing, covered between Amanda and Zach. So that was a little shaky. And then they had to pick another team, and for them to go against. So we knew that it was going to be Davon and Jose. That was a note. That was like, we're going to win that no matter what. They just, neither one of them has. Yeah. They got no sauce. But Zach and Amanda, we were a little bit shook. Yeah, we actually got kind of lucky on that one.
Yeah, we were wondering, because we were watching, and you went against Zach and Amanda first. At least that's how it was shown. And so we were like, what happens if they would have lost? Like, do you still just go against Davon and Jose just for pride? I mean, what happens if they win? Like, they win and Zach and,
Well, we would have had the opportunity to take someone to the redemption house with us.
Okay.
So if we had either lost if we lost to either team and beaten the other one, 2 teams were still going to redemption. The only way that only us would have gone is if we had lost both rounds.
Gotcha. That's what we were trying to figure out.
And I had already determined that if we lost the first round, we were going to lose the second one, because it increases your chances of picking the double cross.
Yeah, you have a more percentage to pull it. Yeah.
Right. So we had already determined that if we lost the first one, that the second one was just going to be let them have it, because, again, I'd love to say that I didn't do this, but I checked some spoilers and I knew at least an idea of the game.
Yeah, I was about to ask, so they briefed you on the double cross and the redemption house and all that? So you
No. And I won't give credit to the people that tag me in bizarre articles on Instagram, but they are, I mean, if it's in my mailbox, I'm probably going to take a peek.
Yeah, we're trying really hard to avoid spoilers for this season, and I've had to just mute and block and whatever, all kinds of people on our Twitter and Instagram, things like that, just because we do weekly recaps. We want to give honest reactions as we see it happen. We don't want to know
Right.
who's going to win down the road. So it's definitely been different this year because we never had a podcast until this season. So it's harder to avoid those than what we thought.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Actually, is the word I would use. Is if you're looking for them at all.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to actively be fighting against them in order for it not to be spoiled. I don't know why people like to watch like that, but
I don't either.
I guess that's coming from someone that already knows everything that happened because I was there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's easy for me to be like, well, you just watch a show.
No, I never want to be the type of person that, like, at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, I know they win, so none of this matters. Like, it's just not fun at that point.
Yeah, it's not fun.
So, okay, I have to ask every guest this because I'm such a fan, but do you have any sort of history with professional wrestling?
Do I?
Yes.
Jay.
Just
No.
The other two of us don't either.
Outside of tipping back quite a few ice cold foamers with the Miz after the reunions or whatever, then no, I don't. I used to watch it, I guess. I was on a show with Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, we had someone
Yeah.
ask us a question about that show, which me and Hannah have not watched that season of Chance vs. Stars, but we've heard we should go back. Someone asked us if Cardi B's sister ever reimbursed you for your sunglasses.
Those were her sunglasses, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she smashed her own sunglasses on my head. And as far as I know, they have not been replaced. So, those might be a good auction item for for when the challenge does its next auction.
Well, so what I was leading to, because I wasn't just going to talk wrestling with you, especially if you're not a fan. So you've got all these different alliances, like in wrestling. You've got the Young Bucks, the Lavender Ladies, the Old Dogs, if you want to call them. Where does Devin lie in all this alliance business going on?
It's a good question. So, I've got a couple guys that, we don't have a name for it, but I just know I know my own pecking order for people, and I'm very upfront about that. So the problem with alliances, and this is like it's the one thing that everyone always says is that, like, you can't bring your whole alliance to the final, and that's true. But you can get to a point where you just hash it out in a fair way amongst friends, that, and that's what everyone's alliance is trying to do, is just get rid of the other one so that we can battle it out ourselves.
Well, and I think what we're seeing this season, and we've talked about it quite a bit on the pod, is that this seems like the first season that we're seeing a legitimate, like, changing of the guard. Because, like, I don't remember last time seeing Johnny Bananas as, like, nervous and shook as he's been this season. It kind of goes back to how he kind of responded to things when he was around the likes of Kenny and Evan and these other guys that were running the house. Like, you've got just so many new faces that are in there now that have legitimately kind of taken over the place.
And aren't scared to call him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of goes for anybody that's not, like, it's easy to single Johnny out in this circumstance because he's been the target of a lot of that. But I feel like anyone else that was in that position was going to be getting the same treatment. Like, Brad and Kyle, if they stuck around long enough, they were going to be getting picked off. Jose and Davon, they were going to be getting picked off. Maria and Maria, they were going to be getting picked off. Like, and so, yeah, Johnny and Tony just happen to fall into that line. But again, Paulie and Natalie, like, all of those people, my understanding, are being targeted. If you're not in, like, one half of the house, then you're in the other one and you're not safe.
Yeah.
But I've really, I've been impressed with the alliances that I have been in and that I'll continue to be in, that unlike most in this game, we've never really wavered. And when I say we, it's like, I'm not like TYB, whatever, but those are my guys. Like, I love those guys. And I'm not going to say their name if there's someone else that I don't like who's available. You know, if it comes down to, like, you know, Wes, Hunter, Nelson, then I have a tough choice to make. But it very rarely comes down to that. You usually have a scapegoat.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. So, you know, obviously one of the big things that happened was with Zach and Amanda. Like, what you talk about, like, having all these people you're aligned with. Like, do you respond the way Zach did if you're in that position?
Dude, that was so dumb.
Yeah,
that was so dumb.
That was our takeaway from it. Like, they were both so short-sighted. Like, they knew there was a possibility of a tie, and they would have to make a decision.
They could have gotten rid of either me and Corey. I mean, they didn't know this was going to happen, and so in their mind, this is why I get it a little bit. In their mind, or in Zach's mind, if he sends down Bananas and Tony, and they pick Jose and Devon, and obviously send them home because they're awful, or to redemption or whatever, then they come back in and it's like, oh, well, you guys voted for me. Maybe now we're gunning for you. But that's not how it would have worked out. It would have worked out that, okay, you guys came back into the game and I threw Amanda a bone by voting for you. So now you're off limits for the next time. So don't, like, we're half on your team, so don't try to get us out. It was just so dumb that he felt like that was the time to do it, but it really didn't have anything to do with Tony. It had everything to do with Amanda.
Really?
And Zach not wanting Amanda to be the reason that a decision was made.
That's
and
absolutely
I really feel
what
that
I
way.
thought.
Yeah, we said when we discussed it on this past Tuesday's episode, but we were like, you know, they probably are the two most stubborn people, it seems. Like, neither one of them was going to back down.
It
like,
was so stupid.
You know. It was short-sighted.
For $1 million, yeah, it was a great, like, congratulations. But also, they had been killing it, and they had been killing it because of, like, the yin yang that they had. They're obviously both firecrackers, so that part wasn't working out. But imagine in a final, in a situation where you've got a puzzle to solve and a really heavy thing to lift or to eat. And you've got Amanda and Zach as a duo. Like, that's going to be very difficult to beat, especially because if he has to just put her over his shoulders, he can do that.
Yeah.
Like, she weighs 105 pounds.
So
Zach could easily just lift her up and run with her. And, like, how do you beat that?
It seemed almost as if, aside from their stubbornness, they had the potential to be the perfect team. And it was just so crazy frustrating to see them be so caught up in getting one over the other that they put themselves in a position that really they went from the top team.
They were the only safe team. To
now in the Redemption House and a very low chance of making it back to the main house.
What I didn't understand is why they just didn't vote for Jose and Devon.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, because you can agree on that. Like, they're not aligned with anyone.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't have been much debate there. You wouldn't have been in that position because it all started in voting. They basically threw away their power vote by burning it on Jose and Devon.
I just don't understand why they wouldn't have picked him in that moment, because you know that they can't pick you, so you're safe.
Yeah.
Literally, the only way that you cannot be safe is by refusing to pick, or like, why not pick Cara and Marie?
Yeah. Again, none of it made sense. Like, we're with you. Like, we just were like, this is the most frustratingly,
because they got to pick whoever they wanted, right?
Yeah,
they could pick any team.
They were the only. They were the only one safe because they won the previous daily.
So then why is Zach acting like he did this big noble thing for Tony? It's like that he was safe anyways. You did a noble thing for Marie, Cara Maria, Jose, and Devon.
Yeah.
Not for Tony.
Yeah, it was weird.
I'm still really mad about it.
Speaking of, there's been a little bit of online, like, again, we post on Reddit and some challenge groups on Facebook when we have episodes, things like that. So there's been some controversy about this past week's elimination. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know. What is it?
So the controversy, which I haven't even talked with the other two people here about it, is that it seemed like the one, like, what were the things called? They were like the medallion, whatever it was hanging off the rope. The one that stuck for Jose and Devon was the same one that stuck for Amanda and Zach. And people are like, oh, the production, they rigged it so it wouldn't fall off.
That is inaccurate, but I can tell you what the equalizer was in this.
So they cut it out.
It actually, well, so none of there's an equalizer in every elimination because there's a girl on one team if there's a girl and a guy or a girl and a girl versus a guy and it's something physical, that's just not going to be fair.
Yeah. Like the extra bands with Pauly and against Cam and things like that.
Right. So has that been explained on the show, or am I doing a big thing I'm not supposed to?
No. We've talked about it with Marie and then Cam and some other people like that.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty open information.
The equalizer this time was the pieces that they used to attach the medallions to the rope were. Have you ever seen like a S hook?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain over a podcast, but it was an S hook that was kind of pinched shut on both sides, and it had enough room for the medallion to go off to slip out.
Yeah.
But it needed to be a lot of force to do that.
Okay.
So half of the medallions on the girl-guy teams were only one S hook. And all of our medallions were two.
Okay.
So the medallion that stayed for both of them
was
a two.
Gotcha.
And that one, if you look, that was also the one on our side that was the hardest to get off.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the rope, it's getting the least amount of bounce because it's closest to the tie-in.
Yeah, it's just physics at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so combine that with the girls being on that side both times and them not weighing as much, so not being able to create as much force on the one medallion that needs the most force, and that's why that one stuck both times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was a really long-winded explanation, but I hope it did make sense.
It did make sense. Yeah.
It made a lot of sense.
Yeah, again, it did seem like that was the one that stuck, but I was like, I don't think that they like rigged it to where it was permanently like that one couldn't come off because they wanted you guys back in the house. I mean, that's just a weird way to do things. So I didn't know.
Yeah,
it is weird that they keep cutting out like the explanation of the equalizers.
I've seen. Well, I think it's because they don't want viewers to know that there's equalizers, because that raises a whole nother conversation of like, well, how is an equalizer fair like between like Cara and like Amanda shouldn't have the same equalizer as each other because Cara can do 10 muscle ups. Like, she's stronger than I am.
Yeah.
So I think it comes back down to the point where, like, if we want to live in a world that's equal, why are there equalizers? Like, girls can do everything that guys can do. Cara's faster, stronger, and probably just as smart as I am. So, like, I don't really even think there should be equalizers, personally.
It was weird that they just kind of introduced it in that, like, first elimination with Cam and Pauly, and then just haven't spoken about it. And, like, it's out there. Like, you could see how much he was struggling on that first thing, and Cam was just kind of, like, walking like it was no big deal. And, I mean, she's tough, and, he's not the biggest guy, but you could tell there was definitely a difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a difference, like in a situation like that. But I mean, they're doing the best they can. There's not every female competitor is going to be as strong as Cara, so I get what they're coming from. But like, I shouldn't have to carry the same amount of weight as Zach then in that situation.
True. Yeah, no one.
Like,
Zach should have more than anyone else.
Yeah, like every challenge that we do, like in regular challenges, at that point should have equalizers. Like, why don't I just start in a 100-yard dash 40 yards ahead of everybody, and then me and Nelson will tie? Like, the idea of an equalizer to me is stupid because we're playing a game that is not equal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's made so that.
Why do I have to eat as much food as CT? It's way easier for me. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't want to keep you too much longer, but we have a couple just like quick, like rapid fire type things.
Sure.
So one of them is from one of our big listeners. We call him Stat Checker Paul because he corrects us on everything that we screw up because we just kind of talk, just absentmindedly sometimes we miss things. But he was just wanting to know, I promised I'd ask, if you could like partner up with any like old school challenger that's not Wes, because clearly you and Wes were friends. Like
Sarah Rice.
Really? Sarah Rice?
Yes.
Do you think she'd ever come back?
If it's guy, girl, Sarah Rice for sure. If it's guy,
yeah.
Like even right now, I'd probably go with Darrell.
Really?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Darrell just because he's a freak athlete and he's smart and like determined and like zenned out.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I was like, yo, D, I feel like I can like do this puzzle if I just like go after it. I feel like he'd take a step back and like let me do my thing.
Yeah, he's not like the one to like lose his cool like in the midst of like something crazy going on. I mean, he's gotten fights and stuff like back in the day, but at the same time, for the most part, he's tried to avoid stuff like that until it got to the point to where Brad just decided he's too drunk and wants to fight him. So,
Darrell. Yeah, those are my answers. I'd go Sarah Rice or Darrell.
The rumor was
if I can't pick Wes.
The rumor was that you took Darrell's spot, and Darrell was supposed to be Corey's mercenary partner.
I don't know if that's true, but I did hear that rumor.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can really think of is how long do you think you'll be doing these? I mean, because I'll be 30 in like a week, and so I know we're about the same age.
Yep, I'll be 30 in April.
Okay, so
yeah, I mean that's a good question. I hope that I'm never in a position that I have to do them.
Yeah.
And as long as that's not the case, I mean, they're fun, man. I would love to continue to do these. I've never been good at looking into the future. It's hard to give like for another 3 years or 4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm open to doing them for a long time. They're fun. It's once in a lifetime, and I know I'm not going to look back and be like, "Oh man, I wish I hadn't have done that challenge."
Yeah.
As bad as it sucks in the moment, it's once in a lifetime, and I still got to get a W. So, like, definitely until that happens.
I got one last question for you.
Sure.
Do you think, trying to peer into the future, you're going to hang out with the Smashing Heads crew at any point again?
Oh, my gosh.
A podcast revisit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, you can sign me up. Maybe I could do a tandem one with someone else.
We can get more people in here. We've talked about bringing. Marie said she'd come back at the end of the season to talk about like just the overarching like view of everything. So we've definitely talked about doing that.
Maybe we'll do a Smashing Heads podcast reunion episode.
That's it.
Yeah, the only other thing is I want to throw at you real quick. We talked about recording yesterday. You had your priorities right. You're like, hey, the Patriots are playing on Thursday night. I'm not a fan of the Patriots, but I was yesterday because, again, we're in Tennessee. You're playing the Colts. They're in our division.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for,
Yeah, thanks, New England.
It's a weird season for them for sure. Like it's been shaky to start off with, but how do you think they're doing this year?
So here's a little known fact about me. There's a radio station in Western Mass. Well, I think all of Massachusetts called WEEI. And they take, callers. So I regularly call into that show as a persona that I have titled Dawn in the Car.
Okay.
So Dawn in the Car calls up and gives game predictions every Saturday on WEEI during the weekend show.
Uh-huh.
And last week, Dawn in the Car said the Patriots are going to beat Miami by about 40 points. Then we're going to beat the Colts by 17, and then we're going to not lose another game and go to the Super Bowl and win that too. So
you're predicting undefeated.
I will revise Dawn in the Car's statement a little bit because he's just an avid sports fan. But I'm going to say that the Patriots will finish 12-4. They'll win the division. They'll get a first-round bye. They will be in the Super Bowl against the Los Angeles Rams, and they will win that game 38-31.
Well, we're going to hold you to that. I mean, that's an uphill battle. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's going to be Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. But, I mean, you guys are pretty far behind with the Dolphins starting out. They were 3-1, or they didn't go 4-0.
Yeah. No, because they lost the Patriots.
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, we're 2-3. They're going to be, or excuse me, we're 3-2. They're going to be 3-2 at the end of this week because I believe that they're playing Atlanta.
I will say they screwed us. Like, we were in a 7.5-hour game the first day of the year because Miami has lightning and they don't have a dome or anything like that.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to win that one anyways.
Hey.
Wasn't that no Mariota?
Hey,
now you're pushing.
No, Mariota was in. He got hurt in that game. Like later
He was
on,
in, but he got hurt.
Yeah, again, we're 3-1, man. We beat Jacksonville and Philly and the Texans, and I mean
with Blaine Gabbert for the most part.
Yeah, that's never something you want to happen, but
Gabbert.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Not that you have to be concerned, but we'll take care of the Bills this weekend for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you do that? Because I've actually got.
We'll do each other favors.
Yeah, I've got Lewis in fantasy, so I could use a little dart out of the backfield there.
All right, so you said Dawn calls every Saturday?
Yeah, Dawn in the Car. So when you call up, they ask like where you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this since the beginning of this year. Yeah, so Dawn in the Car calls up on Saturdays. Yeah.
So this hasn't been like.
I know what we're gonna listen for.
And he goes. Hey, hi, who's this? This is Dawn in the Car. And then they ask me, and I go. I like to say friggin' a lot, so I'll say like, we're the New England friggin' Patriots, kid. Like, just like a lot of stuff like that.
So, like, you really lean into, like, the New England accent.
Yeah. Dawn in the Car, dude.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, again, we appreciate you coming on. The one other thing is, obviously, go Grizzlies, and I'm assuming you're a Celtics fan.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go to the home opener.
We are, too. We're going to the Grizzlies home opener, all of us.
Yep, that'll be good. That'll be fun. And yeah, I don't know. I've never been to a Grizzlies game, but I imagine they're pretty cool. We got Rudolph or something.
Randolph. No, he's on the Kings now. I mean, we got.
Yeah.
Again, I don't blame you for not knowing, but still got Mike and Mark and
Chandler Parsons,
which he's healthy finally after 8 years it seems.
We got Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah. So
he's our rookie this year.
The good thing about Memphis is we can go for really cheap because Memphis is not a huge city.
Yeah,
everybody in Memphis loves the Grizzlies. Everybody in Memphis.
Well, you guys could be looking at an 8 seed, 7 seed, maybe.
Yeah, they're gonna fight for the last few playoff seeds. I mean, they were awful last year, but I mean, we're not gonna be a top 3 seed or anything like that.
Hey, where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
That's true. Hey, in 2011, we were the 8 seed. We beat the Spurs. They were the 1 seed. We can do it again.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, I like you guys are sports fans.
Yeah. So we'll definitely keep track of how each other's teams are doing, and try to do you a favor on Sunday with the Bills. But again, we appreciate you coming on, and we're rooting for you, even though it's already happened. We're like retroactively rooting for you because we genuinely. You changed my mind personally on Are You the One? Because I was just challenged is real world and road rules only. So, you kind of ushered in a new era with us.
I appreciate that. I really do. And hopefully I can keep representing strong for the Are You the One population of the challenge.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
All right, guys. You have a good night. Good weekend.
See you,
Thank
Devin.
you, you too.